Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video I'd like to take a closer look at why so many health gurus, raw gurus, especially natural hygienists, why are they dying so young? But before I tell you more about why some people can die young like that, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about what I do. As a wellness consultant, I coach people, I teach them how to make changes. I'm there to motivate them, to encourage them, to help them understand what they're going through. I've been there. And I know what people go through. I see what happens to them. I'm at a point now where I can actually see your brains working, knowing that a lot of y'all are looking for excuses. I understand how that works. I really do. We all do that, don't we? We always look for excuses so we don't have to do something, especially when it comes to changing our diet as drastically as going to a raw vegan diet. It's what we live for, right? We want to believe what the doctors tell us, that it's not our fault. We want to believe that, it doesn't make a difference in what we do, that we're not living longer. But that's all about denial, my friends. Remember, denial is a defense mechanism to keep us from going crazy. We run to denial to avoid those unwanted aspects of ourselves that Carl Jung called our shadow. We have an individual shadow and a collective shadow. Remember, the collective shadow is what keeps us where we are. But we also run to denial to protect our pleasures. We live in a fantasy world where we trick, we hide, we lie, we delude, we deceive, we cover up, we overcompensate, we intellectualize, we rationalize, we generalize, we minimize, we blame, we bargain, we harbor illusions thinking that it's not our fault because that's what we want to hear. And we're looking for reasons and excuses not to have to do this. Look at these guys, they're not living very long. I don't have to do it. Yeah! I don't have to do it. I found me an excuse. Yippee, yippee, yippee. I don't have to do it. They don't live long. Well, why aren't they living long? Have you looked into it? No. I just found my excuse. Yow! Yeah, aren't you excited? I am. Just thinking about it. I don't have to do it. Look, I can cheat. It's okay. It is okay. Don't worry about that. But what you have to understand, my friends, oh my God, life is an illusion. What can I say? There's a reason why people die. If you look at the very beginners of the natural hygiene movement, if you look at Dr. Russell Troll and Sylvester Graham, why these guys die at 65 and 54 respectively? Well, there's a good reason, and it's usually the same reason why most people find this information. They were sick. In fact, Graham was born a weak and delicate child. And Sylvester Graham spent his whole boyhood in sickness and was bled and drugged. These people were lucky to make it as long as they did after the medical system poisoned them. That's why they didn't live long. Our first few years are so important. The first 10 years, as Dr. Joel Fuhrman points out in his book, Disease Proof Your Child, these little children's cells are growing rapidly. They're opening and closing, they're being exposed. Adults, our cells are like the inside of a golf ball, tightly bound, wrapped around with a bunch of rubber bands. And we're not opening and closing, so we can be exposed to certain things, and it won't harm us. But little children, what happens the first 10 years of our life is so important. Very few people who finally find out about raw food started their journey off that way. And now the younger generation, my God, people below 30 right now, we're supposed to be born with a system that can do 10 times what they're supposed to do. You guys are probably lucky if you're coming in at 2 or 3. That's why you're getting sick in your 20s and 30s or younger. We're getting weaker and sicker as a species because our food is getting worse and we're being drugged and drugged. So that's how most people find this. So these two guys were sick as children. They were drugged and poisoned by the medical system. And that's what happens to most of us. Except it's even worse now with all the vaccines. And so this is what happens to most of us. And then if you look at Shelton and Fry, that's thrown in our face all the time, isn't it? Well, Shelton made it to, 90, and Fry 70, 69, whatever. Why did they die so young? Well, golly, if you look at their lives, Shelton was kicked in the head and lost most of his teeth after his stallion kicked him in the mouth in 1945. So he wasn't able to chew his food. He was damaged. He didn't understand the ripple effect. He ended up with a DHA deficiency. He came down with Parkinson's disease early in his life and suffered the last part of his life. So Shelton's problem was he didn't understand that you can still screw up the law of cause and effect even though you found 2 ways already. You see, I explained this in the 3 ways you can screw up the law of cause and effect. In the video, I'll put the link down below. And there's 7 wrong approaches I mentioned. There's a lot of them, but I just mentioned 7. And then there's 4 ways we can work downstream. But when you look at the 3 ways we can screw up the law of cause and effect, the natural hygienists have the knowledge of how to live, which is what most people don't have, and that's why they're more spot on than anything, and this system is going to be attacked more than any other system on this planet because they've got knowledge and truth. What they're missing is the ripple effect. They didn't know there's 3 ways that screw up the law of cause and effect. So I'm coming in and telling you, take natural hygiene, add the piece that I'm adding, the ripple effect, and you got the solution. Because you got to look at the big picture, and that's what the natural hygienists do. Now, there's a lot of dogma within the system about whether or not we should do certain things that are classified as the art, but that's the piece they're missing, don't you see? That's the piece of the puzzle they don't understand. They don't understand the art of healing. They don't understand what comes after the effect. That's the 3rd way we can screw up the law of cause and effect, when you don't understand the ripple effect. And the point is you can change what you do overnight and remove the primary cause immediately, but you can't change what you got overnight, and that's where we come up with another group of needs. So the natural hygienists don't have the knowledge of how to adapt. They don't understand what comes after the effect. They understand what comes before the cause. That's the knowledge we're missing. Most people don't have it, so they make a mistake. They also understand, although I've never read anybody articulate it this way, but I understand it, is that the medical system is in between the cause and the effect, giving the illusion that it works, because they're interfering with the body's communication system. If you look at the 2nd and 3rd stages of knowledge in my special teaching tool, it uses knowledge in a way that's never been seen before. If you haven't seen it, you're a fool not to watch it. Go down below and watch it. But they're interfering with the body's communication system in between the 2nd stage of knowledge and what we do, and 3rd stage of knowledge and what we get. So we're making mistakes, we got problems. Okay, take this drug, interfere with the body's communication system, blockers, inhibitors, lock and key communication system. Hey, the body doesn't communicate. Let me clip those wires to your sending unit in your car and the engine light goes off. Take the sending unit out, no more signal. This is what doctors do. They're magicians. They're magic. They're just performing a magic act. But they're taught by the 6 psychopaths who rule the world. They're the ones who are the magicians. They're the ones who are tricking everybody. And then we trick ourselves, don't we? It's all about denial. So if you're looking for an excuse not to do this, why are you doing that? You should be looking for ways to make it work. I'm telling you how to do it. There are 2 groups of needs we must satisfy. It's both based on 2 anatomical limitations. The first one has to do with what we're given at birth. We have a species-specific diet. Case closed, no discussion, period. Look at the anatomy. We're not designed to eat animals. Case closed. We're not granivores. We're not designed to eat starches. Case closed. There's no debate. But the problem here is that this is our ideal diet in an ideal world, and it only satisfies this group of needs. So people say, oh, it's not our ideal diet because we don't get everything we need. But that's because there's another group of needs based on the damage to ourselves and society and the environment. The big problems we have is B12, and that's what killed T.C. Fry. He too did not understand the ripple effect. And it's easy to be arrogant when you've got 2 of the 3 ways to screw up the law of cause and effect. And you know, most people don't know the first way, and most people don't know the second way. Most people trust their doctors. Most people don't know that drugs are just tricking us and fooling us and treating a symptom. Sleight of hand. I've been working at this for a long time. I've created lots of files. People come to me with a disease I never heard of. Give me 1 hour on the internet, let me create a file, I'll highlight it, send it back to you, and you go, why is he highlighting everything in gray, or certain things in gray? Not everything, only certain things in gray. Well, they tie into the stages of disease, and what you're going to find out is all these, well, I don't want to think of what I want to describe them now. These disease treaters are doing, or allopathic medicine, is they're naming the symptom that we got based on the location and the stage it's in. That's all they're doing. So what I do when I study a disease I've never heard of before, I look at what the so-called experts say it is, and I look for those key words that tie into the different stages. Now I know the stage in which our body's in, dealing with something that doesn't belong there. And that's what they don't understand, is that there's something that's causing that, and what's causing it? In most cases, it's the lymph system backing up into the tissues and cells. So it's a self-poisoning because we're dirty. So the lymph system plays a huge role in this whole disease process, and it's what the doctors don't understand. Remember, there's a reason why they don't teach doctors the lymph system, and it's the same reason why they don't teach nutritionists the elimination system. Think about that. Seriously, think about it. If you control education, what don't you want nutritionists to understand. Well, let's not let them think about how long it takes to go through the food tube, because then we can create a serpent in there, and we got them now, because they're under a spell, you see. We're eating food with the wrong bowel transit time. So that's one way. And then the other, and I'm not, well, now I'm not sure if that's how I wanted to say it. Come on, get to your point, get to your point. He doesn't have a point. Yeah, you guys are real funny. You know, I'm ad-libbing this at the top of my head. So many times I'm not really sure where I want to go with something. And in those cases, it all comes back to the simple fact that life really is an illusion. It's all about being distracted, and that's what these guys are doing to us. So if you put your trust and faith in doctors, you're being tricked, and that's the whole point that I want to make sure I finish the baking. Is that all you have to do is get someone to take the first step in the wrong direction, and we got us fooled. And that's the purpose of my special teaching tools, to make sure we don't get tricked and we don't get fooled. We have to understand that there are three ways to screw up the law, cause, and effect. The medical people are in between the cause and the effect. Most people lack the knowledge of how to live. And the natural hygienists, the reason why Shelton and Fry died is because they didn't understand what comes after the effect. That there is a ripple effect, that now we have damage that we have to deal with. So there are two groups of needs based on anatomical limitations. The first group has to do with what we're given at birth, and the second one has to do with the damage we've done from making mistakes. So you can't use the damage we've done as an excuse not to obey the first anatomical limitations. So a lot of people become dependent upon meat. Their body's atrophied and can no longer make certain level 2 nutrients, but we don't want to keep eating it because now we're still in violation of our species-specific diet, don't you see? So we have to figure out what's the best way to provide our body with level 2 nutrients that we're not getting. What's the best way to apply the art? And this is something that we have to understand. And that's why I like adding this piece to the natural hygiene puzzle. Because no one has enough wisdom to be aware of all the protocols out there and understand all the individualized conditions that every one of us has, to be able to understand how to apply the art. That's where we play a role, my friends. You play a huge role in the healing process. All you have to do is stop making mistakes, and guess what usually happens? Most of the problems go away. But if there's damage that's been done, we got to figure out, well, how do we support our body now that our body's damaged? If our liver is damaged, we might not be making any cholesterol. Several things we can do to get cholesterol in our body. Coconut oil, and if you don't have any aversion to eating an egg yolk. And a lot of people do, and I understand that. But what if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you don't have supplements? What do? Do you die? Or do you go ahead and sacrifice an egg yolk of an unfertilized egg? Is that how you say it? Didn't look that up the other day. I meant to. Or what do? So we have to be practical and understand that we don't live in an ideal world, so we have two groups of needs. And no matter what we do, we have to respect the fact that we have anatomical limitations. We have a species-specific diet. The only problem is it doesn't work long-term. Now, I mentioned earlier that most people find this knowledge because they got sick. And it's understandable why they might not live as long as they could have had they had this knowledge from the beginning. But we know there are people who are raised this way. And that brings up an interesting point. Why are they not thriving? I've been telling you all along, they're missing the art of solving our problems. They're missing the ripple effect. Natural hygiene is missing the ripple effect. I'm adding it to the system, now it's complete. And it's always going to be incomplete because no one has all of the art, don't you see? We've got a scapegoat now. It's complete, but no one can be complete. Pretty tricky, hey? That's what it's all about. I'm a magician. I'm going to trick you and fool you. Yeah, that's what's happening to all of us. We have so much garbage that's been bombarded into our brain that we automatically have an opinion on things we never even thought about. This is something that just boggles your mind when you think about it. We have to question everything. Question everything I say. Don't believe anything I say. Please don't. But there's something you can do to prove it. You can do the first of my 3-step process, and usually within a week, most people have a light bulb moment. because stains are still coming out. The average woman loses 7 pounds. Average man, 10 pounds. Oh, it's water loss, water loss. Oh, how many times do I hear that one? Get a scale, measure your water percentage. If you got tons of edema, yippee, we'll get rid of that. But finish the program up and you'll probably gain 10, 20 pounds of water because you're dehydrated. Everybody I coach is dehydrated. Get a scale and look at your water percentage and have someone take a picture as your jaw drops. It's going to be low unless you're a raw vegan. Someone was comparing the other day, oh, it takes more water to grow those fruits than it does the grains. Well, what are you going to do when you eat grains? You're going to have to drink water afterwards, aren't you? Did you think of that? Oh, didn't think about that. What, I'm supposed to eat my water? Yes, because you can't eat starches and drink unstructured water and expect any healthy results. You got to eat the only food that wants you to eat it, and it's got structured water that can hydrate you in a way that nothing else can. You want proof, you starch fools? Go get a scale and look at your water percentage, because I guarantee every one of you that are over 40 are going to be around 50% water. You're supposed to be 70% water. If I was a betting man, I'd be willing to put up some money on this. How do I know? I've coached a lot of people. And that's where you guys are at. Because you're not eating the fruits. Who cares how much water it takes to grow the only thing that wants us to eat it? It's a distraction to compare how much water it takes to grow what we need, the only thing we need to get us out of this hell, compared to, oh, we can grow this much more shit. I don't want to eat shit. You guys are pushing crap. Starches are crap. They're cooked. They're deranged. And look at us. We are deranged. Pick up any history book, turn on the news, on any TV or radio station, and it soon becomes painfully obvious something is wrong with us. Yes, eating animals makes it worse. We know that. But what started it? What allowed us to eat the grains? If we weren't cooking our food, we wouldn't have eaten the grains, and we wouldn't be eating animals. We wouldn't be in the hell we're in. To rationalize is denial. To say it takes too much water to grow fruit is insane. And look at you, you think you're so smart. You're deluded. You're fooling yourself. Denial, 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 and it strikes twice. It keeps you from finding the knowledge, and it keeps you from applying it. Why do I get passionate? Because I understand. I'm not yelling because I'm old. Oh, he's old, people yell. I only yell when it matters because I'm outraged. If you knew what I knew, you would be outraged too. And if you aren't outraged, you don't know what I know. Or you've become numb, which happens to me all the time. You think it's easy for me to get out here and get excited? I've been focusing on this for 26 years. 26 years every day of my life. It consumes my life. All I think about is this. That's all I think about. And I know I tried punching holes in it. I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to be wrong anywhere. That's why it took so long for me to finally show my special teaching tool, which uses knowledge in a way that's never been seen before. It's going to revolutionize the way we get out of this hell. I got a map. It's 2 maps in one. It helps us get out of Plato's cave, this cave of ignorance, and it shows us our way back to paradise. It's brilliant. I've identified 281 of all the most important pieces of the puzzle. So if you want to understand what I know and what you know, go to my ultimate schematic and find out where you are, what piece number you are. And you know what you're going to find? Oh, I thought I was the only piece of my puzzle, but there's 9 other guys in my puzzle, and then I'm also another piece of another puzzle. I'm also a puzzle of another puzzle. I'm a fucking China doll. I didn't know it. Yes, people, there's so much to this. I finally put all the important pieces together. I've worked hard for 26 years to try to figure out how do I explain all this. I created a tool to only do one thing, help us pass one test. To use logic, there's 2 tests we have to pass. The first one has to do with the structure. That's what my tool does. I can't do anything to prove the specifics, but I've perfected a 3-step process so you can do it. Go down below and go to my seminar, do the juice fast. Transform your body, get that brand new reference. You'll understand what I'm talking about. Until then, you just think I'm a screaming, crazy lunatic. Remember, when you go down to Plato's cave, everyone thinks you're an idiot to get them to look in the light, because it hurts to look at the truth. Don't tell me I can't eat cooked food. Let me go find a reason. Hey, he died at 54. I don't have to do this. Denial, my friend. Denial. We got to wake up. My special teaching tool clearly shows that every system in charge is guilty of what's known in Latin as monus ponens. Monus ponens. They're putting the cart before the horse for a problem within our control. Most of our problems are within our control, but we have an inaccurate belief system. Most of us don't know that we have false knowledge in place of the knowledge we need in the first stage of knowledge, where knowledge is acquired. Most of us don't know that we're making mistakes in the second stage of knowledge, where knowledge is applied. And most of us don't know that most of the problems that we get in the third stage of knowledge, where knowledge is manifested, is self-inflicted. We don't know that. The Serenity Prayer, God grant me the wisdom to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Oh my God, if we just had the wisdom to know the difference. Do you want to find it? Go down below and do the first of my three-step process. You're going to get it. You're going to get the brand new reference. You're going to come to the realization that none of those systems trying to solve your problems are going to be able to solve anyone's problems. Why do you come to that conclusion and realization? Because most, if not every one of your problems are going to go away when you stop making mistakes and deal with the damage that's been done. That's the hard part, and that's what I'm trying to add to natural hygiene to make it complete, because the philosophy is sound. It's sound. It's based on simple laws. And as our knowledge improves, we improve on this knowledge and science, because that's what science does. It always improves. Well, we're making one more improvement with the natural hygiene philosophy. We're adding the art of solving problems, where now we have another group of needs that's based on the ripple effect. Their group of needs that they focus on is based on the law of cause and effect. We're living systems. All living systems are subject to the law of cause and effect, just like all matter is subject to Newton's third law of motion, law of action and reaction. So what do we have with action and reaction and cause and effect? That's the second and third stages of knowledge in my special teaching tool. That's how I started this. I wanted to use logic to solve problems, so I created a cause and effect, pleasure and pain quadrant system. Every living system is born with these two forms of two-value logic. Our brains are wired for pleasure and pain, positive effect, negative effect, and then we're subject to the law of cause and effect. Cause and effect. Those are ordered pairs. One comes before the other. Sequence cannot be reversed. This is what we do to make sure we don't get tricked. Don't you see? Can't go the wrong direction. If I want to build a one-way bridge from California to Florida, it'd take a lot of knowledge and intellect to be able to find the logical fallacies in the blueprints of that. I'm a smart guy when it comes to math and numbers, but I don't have a degree in that. I couldn't read those blueprints. Maybe if I put a little time into it, I might figure it out, but it would require a lot of knowledge and intellect to do it. However, every little 7-year-old child go, well, wait a second. This is a one-way bridge that's going from Florida to California. You see, it's going the wrong way. That's what the rulers of the world do. They're masters of illusion. They're masters of misdirection. They're magicians. They're con artists. They're psychopaths. Study psychopaths. Watch Defense Against the Psychopath. Watch it now after this video, and you're going to find out what they are. You'll understand why we live in hell, because the people who rule the world are screwed up. They have no empathy. They have no feeling of remorse. Every one of them are con artists. Every one of them are habitual liars. And they're the ones in charge. And that's what we have to understand. And we could defeat them whenever we come to the realization that they're a reflection of us. If all of us change and get reconnected, there won't be a Projerian class, which is what these people use to control us. And then the whole problem, the whole house of cards will come tumbling down. There's a real simple solution. And it's mind-boggling that it could be something as simple as not cooking our food, but come on, think about it. What could we have done that got us where we're at? Of all of our lifestyle factors, what's the most important? Air? God, that's real important, isn't it? Water? Yeah, that is too. How about food? Oh my God, on my bill. Is this air or water? A lot of water in there, right? Yep. Well, what about food? Where's that? Again, our food, that's our best source of air and water. That's why it doesn't matter how much water it takes to grow fruit trees. All we have to do is take care of the fruit trees, and we live in paradise. If our cost for paradise is watering the fruit trees, I'll do it. Oh my God. I won't have to spend all this other money elsewhere. Hey, let's weigh the two. You don't even know what you're talking about when you start complaining and comparing how much water it takes to grow fruit versus grains. And I don't even know if the statistics are right. It doesn't matter. It's a moot point. You're being distracted every time you're not getting reconnected. So, what do? Well, you could adopt a raw vegan diet. You can do a water fast, provided you don't have a bunch of environmental toxins inside you. And you could do the first of my 3-step process. And I'm convinced it's the easiest way to do it. Why do I say that? Because everyone's open for juice and they know about it already, and it's already been done. Bill Bright had 14 million people within 1 year doing 40 days. We could duplicate that. If we did, the whole planet would wake up and go, oh my God, look at these people. Let's do it. And guess what? This planet would transform overnight. Within a short period of time, we could take the hell that we got now and take it right back to what it was when we considered it a golden age. I call it paradise. I call it a place where we don't have problems that are within our control. And that should be a doable thing, right? How could that not be a doable thing if it's within our control? You know, when you look at the Serenity Prayer, that comes from Epictetus. He knew that our problems were either where we had complete control or limited control or no control whatsoever. And he would know, as a philosopher and a slave, what it's like not to have control. But that's kind of how we're getting, isn't it? The way the police state is getting. That's why I say this is an exciting time to live, my friends. We could go one way or the other pretty easily. The technology now has a point where we may never have any privacy. Right now, is there any lamppost around? If there is, I'm being filmed. I'm sure I'm being filmed way up there. So, what we don't realize is things could get really, really bad. When you look at the books 1984 and The Brave New World, these books were considered prophetic, but they weren't, because both these gentlemen were part of the Fabian Society. And those people who rule the world know that they have to be careful how they wake us up, because we're on the verge of waking up. And we're the Goliath here. They're the little bitty ants. But just like in that movie, they don't want us to know we're the majority. We're the ones that should have control. But we can't, because we're not organized. Only one way to get organized, that's to bump up the biophotons. Best way to do that, first of my 3-step process. If you're not convinced, listen to the Dr. Roba interview. He's on day 21. You're going to love it. Watch the Deborah Duncan show. Watch a woman that was bedridden for 5 years with fibromyalgia 1 week on a juice fast, and she was on TV going, look at me. So I say this for a reason. When you guys do this, you're in for a treat.